Hi, I'm Mr. Pipsley and I'm glad to see you all here on this channel. If you're interested in hearing a story about zombies and how they took over the world, then you're in for a treat. But before I begin, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. By doing so, you'll be able to stay up to date with all the latest content and never miss out on any exciting stories. So sit back, relax, and let's delve into the world of zombies. I promise it'll be a thrilling ride. As the sun set on the small town of Millfield, the streets began to empty. It was a quiet, peaceful place with neat houses and well-manicured lawns. But tonight, something was different. A low moaning sound could be heard coming from the outskirts of town. At first, no one paid much attention to it, but as the moaning grew louder, people started to become concerned. They peered out of their windows and saw something they never thought possible. A horde of zombies was slowly making its way towards Millfield. The townspeople panicked, running around in circles and shouting at each other. But there was no escape. The zombies were everywhere, clawing their way through windows and doors. The air was filled with the stench of decay and death. The local police tried to fight back, but it was no use. The zombies were too strong, too determined. They overwhelmed the officers and began to spread out, attacking anyone they could find. A group of survivors, huddled together in a small convenience store, tried to figure out what to do. They knew they had to get out of Millfield, but how? Every exit was blocked by zombies, and they had no weapons to defend themselves. As they searched through the store's aisles, looking for anything that could help them, they heard a loud crash. The front door had been smashed open, and the zombies were pouring in. The survivors fought bravely, using whatever they could find as weapons. But it was a losing battle. One by one, they fell to the relentless onslaught, until only one was left, a young man named Jack. Jack had grown up in Millfield and knew the town like the back of his hand. He knew there was one way out of town that the zombies hadn't thought of: the old abandoned mine on the edge of town. With nothing left to lose, Jack set off towards the mine. He fought his way through the streets, using a tire iron to bash in the heads of any zombie that got too close. He was determined to make it to the mine no matter what. As he neared the mine, he could hear the moaning and shuffling of the zombies getting closer. But he didn't falter. He pushed on, knowing that his life depended on it. When he finally reached the mine, he found the entrance blocked by a large boulder. But he was strong, and he managed to move it just enough to squeeze through. Inside the mine, it was dark and cold. But it was also safe. The zombies couldn't get in. Jack sat down, catching his breath and wondering what he was going to do next. As he sat there, he realized something. He had grown up in Millfield, but he had never really lived. He had always played it safe, never taking risks or doing anything exciting. But now, with the zombies outside, he had a chance to change that. He set off deeper into the mine, exploring its twists and turns. It was dangerous, but it was also thrilling. For the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. Hours passed, and Jack kept exploring. But eventually, he came to a dead end. There was no way out. He was trapped. As he sat there, resigned to his fate, he heard something. It was a faint scratching sound, coming from the other side of the wall. He realized that there must be a way out, and he started to dig. He clawed at the dirt and rocks with his bare hands, feeling his way through the darkness. Finally, he broke through. On the other side was a small tunnel, just big enough for him to squeeze through. He didn't know where it led, but he knew it was his only hope. He crawled through the tunnel, feeling his way through the darkness. It seemed to go on forever, but finally, he saw a glimmer of light. As he emerged from the tunnel, he found himself outside, under the cover of darkness. He had made it out of the mine, and out of Millfield. But he wasn't alone. He could still hear the moaning and shuffling of the zombies, and he knew that he had to keep moving. He set off into the night, running as fast as he could. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew he had to keep moving, to keep ahead of the zombies. As the sun began to rise, he saw something in the distance. It was a small town, much like Millfield. But this one was different. It was fortified, with walls and guards posted at the gates. He ran towards the town, calling out for help. The guards saw him and let him in, quickly closing the gates behind him. Jack had survived the zombie apocalypse. He had grown up in Millfield, but he had learned to live in a world that was dangerous and unpredictable. And he knew that he would never take his life for granted again. Inside the fortified town, Jack was welcomed by the community of survivors. They were a tight-knit group, working together to fend off the zombie hordes that roamed the countryside. Jack quickly found his place in the community, helping with the day-to-day tasks of farming, scavenging for supplies, and defending the town. He learned how to use weapons, how to fortify buildings, and how to spot the signs of a zombie attack. But even though he was safe and surrounded by people he could trust, Jack never forgot the horror of what had happened in Millfield. He knew that the zombies were still out there, and that there were other towns and cities that had fallen to the same fate. As time passed, Jack and the other survivors began to make plans for the future. They talked about rebuilding society, about finding a cure for the zombie virus, and about exploring the world beyond their fortified town. Jack felt a sense of hope that he had never felt before. He had survived the worst, and he knew that anything was possible. But even as he looked to the future, Jack knew that he would never forget the past. He would always remember the night that the zombies had come to Millfield and the terror and despair that had followed. But he would also remember the lessons he had learned and the strength and resilience he had discovered within himself. And so Jack lived on, in a world that was dark and dangerous but also full of hope and possibility. He grew up not just in age, but in courage and wisdom, and in the knowledge that no matter how scary the world might be, he had the strength to face it. Well, the story has come to an end. I'm sure you like this story, and you will like it with pleasure. Also subscribe to our channel and be sure to leave your feedback in the comments under this video. See you in the next video.